the world is more complex. It's moving at a faster pace, and even our subjective experience of time is moving faster. So guess what has to adapt to all that? Your brain, your nervous system. That's your ally. So when things are happening, when issues are coming up, problems are coming up, you want your brain to quickly, boom, adapt to it from one end, boom, adapt to another end. If it's sluggish, guess what happens? You start to feel overwhelmed. So really, more important than ever, our brains are put on such high demands. I think all of us can agree that our brains are on higher demand than they've probably ever been before, being exposed by iPads and smartphones and all these other things and all the technologies, which are wonderful, but they take its toll. So we need to feed this nervous system. It's an honor. It truly is an honor to be here. I have to say, one of my dreams as a young kid would be to actually present doing a cooking show. This is my first time ever doing something like that. So this is part of a dream. So I just think this is a wonderful thing. And I really want to thank Joel Fuhrman. We've been actually about 13 years now. I actually checked. We've been 13 years when I first started to see him, and he really inspired me. It really changed the way I wanted to go into medicine and practice it. And actually, I feel like in the area of psychiatry, it's really necessary that we start to pay attention to more things than just synthetic chemicals. We need to look at all the different factors we can between, Nutritarian diet I have found to be extremely effective with my patients. I use supplements, do meditation, and also processing emotions, which is really the trickier aspect in that whole thing. So I hope with this presentation, I'd like to teach you a little bit about my love for cooking as an amateur kind of chef, perhaps. I hope that doesn't offend any of the chefs over there. But and also just kind of give you a couple tips on how to, create meals to help nourish your nervous system and your brain. So without further ado, we have a lot to go through. I want to go first into cooking equals playing. Oftentimes our parents or maybe our grandparents or other times when we didn't have as much of the variety of things that we had to do, it became almost like a chore. And so we kind of learned that. This kind of old conditioned program seems to kind of pass on to generations like, oh, yeah, I gotta go cook now. But now what you're doing here is such a wonderful thing, and all these chefs teaching you and what Dr. Fuhrman is teaching you is that not only can you become healthier, but you can actually enjoy the process of cooking. Because really, when we were younger, didn't you love to play with food? It's just that we got yelled at and then we stopped doing it. So I'm inviting you guys to get back to playing with your food. I mean, what is all this that we have out here? We're chopping it up, we're blending it, we're heating it, we're water sauteing it, we're roasting it, we're putting all these different spices. And one of the things you want to be able to do is actually have appreciation and gratitude. I mean, just look even on this first dish. This couldn't have happened, I don't even know, even 20 years ago, I don't think this could have happened. But now we have all these wonderful foods at our disposal, and now all we're limited by is our creativity and our love and our passion. If we put that into our food, you'll have a wonderful time, and then it gets conveyed to those you love that you're giving the food to. So it's a win-win situation. So really, I want to bring that kind of sense when you're going into it. It's not work. It's creative. It's expressive. It's actually an expression of love that we're giving to our client. I really want you to embody that when you go home and bring these principles home and see the love. I mean, you can see Chef Martin. Do you see how the love that he brings to that? All these different, I didn't see the other chef, but I'm sure you can see it in their eyes. They're passionate. You see it in Joel's eyes when he's presenting it to you. He could stand up here and talk to you for 10 hours straight if you could tolerate it, and go after you and make sure that you're healthy, because he has this singular passion to ensure that everyone is healthy and understand how important food is into our bodies, and we're going to explore here into our brains. So activate that young child again. Bring that back out. Have some fun. Put some music on. Gary Malkin coming in with music. Why not combine it when you're cooking? I love to turn on when I come home, turn on some music when I'm about to cook. I'm already starting to eat some of the healthy foods as I'm doing that, and I'm going through that process. So stack on these kind of things so that you make cooking an enjoyable experience. And as we were talking about having the gratitude in your attitude and just recognizing the great fortune we have, the great fortune that you have to even sit here, learn all this stuff, to have the opportunity to take time out, to be able to learn how to eat better, to be able to teach others and be able to share that gift with others. Wow, isn't that amazing? And then finally, I'd like to just kind of do a quick, because I love meditation and I have to add that almost into all my presentations because I think it's so powerful, is being present. Again, Gary was bringing this up last night, and that is like using your 5 senses. So what I'd like everyone stand up for a second. And this is just what we want to do is, like, let's say you're coming home from work, it's been a stressful day, and now you know you need to cook. Well, if you go right from work to cooking, you're going to bring in the feelings that you had during maybe it was a stressful day, maybe you're tired. So giving yourself a ritual, something small, even if it's for 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, to transition yourself to this beautiful art of cooking. So what I want you to do is first just close your eyes. And just bring your attention, it usually feels like it's right behind your eyes, and just invite it to go down your body until you're feeling the ground beneath your feet. And just feel your feet and your heels, the arches. Feel how your pants or shorts feel against your legs. Feel how your shirt or sweater feels against your chest. Then bring your attention to your tongue and notice the sensations on your tongue as it rests on the roof of your mouth, and you may even feel the slickness of the saliva as it rests on the top of your tongue. We're starting to prime it to get ready to be excited about what we're about to make. Then pay attention to the smells that are in the room. Then just let your ears open up and bring in all the different sounds that you hear, noticing their volume, noticing their pitch, and the symphony of different sounds that are going on. And then what I'd like you to do is try to see which hand feels better. Put either your left or your right hand, and maybe try both, and then find out which hand feels more comfortable on your heart. And just think of one thing that you're truly grateful for today. And let that nourish your heart. And let that sense of appreciation just grow into every cell of your body. And so what I'm going to let you do is then, just as you open your eyes, just pay attention to the different colors that you see. Look at the different shades of light. And then just invite all your senses to become open. And as you do so, you become more present. You get out of the simulator, this constant jabbering thoughts in your mind, the symbols and abstractions, and coming into direct experience. And this will help enjoy your experience, it'll help you with your cooking, it'll help you be more alive. And we could just bring that to a close. That's less than 5 minutes, folks. Can you just feel the difference in that? For some, I know with their active mind, you may have to go a little bit longer and slower. For me, in the beginning, I probably would have needed a little bit longer. But as you bring these little rituals into your life, during periods of transition, it can have a major impact. So you're not carrying it into the next phase, and then you can actually be present with what you're with. Very powerful. So I want to ask a series of questions. We're going to compare today to about 15 years ago. Do you feel like the world today is a little bit more complex than it was 15 years ago? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel that the world is moving at a faster pace than it was than 15 years ago? Yes or no? Okay. Does even time itself feel like it's moving faster than it was 15 years ago? Okay. So not only we all agree, it was almost unanimous, is that the world is more complex. It's moving at a faster pace, and even our subjective experience of time is moving faster. So guess what has to adapt to all that? Your brain, your nervous system. That's your ally. So when things are happening, when issues are coming up, problems are coming up, you want your brain to quickly, boom, adapt to it from one end, boom, adapt to another end. If it's sluggish, guess what happens? You start to feel overwhelmed. So really, more important than ever, our brains are put on such high demands. I think all of us can agree that our brains are on higher demand than they've probably ever been before, being exposed by iPads and smartphones and all these other things and all the technologies, which are wonderful. but they take its toll, so we need to feed this nervous system. It's really important to do so. Here is a concept called neuroplasticity. Show of hands, any people heard this term before? Okay, so basically neuroplasticity is how your brain physically adapts to the environment that you're in. When something happens, your brain has to rewire itself. We used to think that the brain a long time ago was this static kind of thing. It didn't change very much. But as they got better at imaging and studying our brain, it's more like a switchboard. It kind of, depending upon what's happening, it starts to rewire its connections to each other. And actually, in certain parts of the brain, you can actually sprout new neurons. In other areas, you can actually, new neurons can actually die. So depending upon your interaction with the environment actually shapes the way your nervous system interacts with it. And so when all this thing is more complex, fast, all this stuff, do you want your brain to be able to adjust quickly? Or do you want it to be a slow, sluggish kind of brain? So these are some of the foods and some of the areas that actually help improve neuroplasticity. One of the chemical markers is a thing called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Don't worry about writing that down. But it's just one of the factors, and all these have been shown in studies to be improved and to improve our neuroplasticity, which helps us to adapt to this very complex, very fast-paced environment. So omega-3 fatty acids, I think probably all of you have heard about these. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. 90 to 95% of us are deficient. Blueberries, I think a lot of us have heard about blueberries. Some of the compounds called the anthocyanins, all present in like kind of purpley blue things like black raspberries, black cherries. All these things have these very powerful components, obviously, that help improve the brain, become more resilient, become more adaptable, so that you won't feel overwhelmed, that you actually feel like you have a sound foundation in which to tackle all the issues that you face from a day-to-day basis. I'll just point out a couple others. Curcumin, which is in turmeric, that yellow spice, very, very powerful, anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, actually helps modulate mood. There's a study head-to-head with one of the antidepressants that actually can help improve mood, and I often use it in my practice for depression. I often use it for bipolar, and I definitely use it for schizophrenia. Cocoa flavonoids, of course, we all like that. We can actually we can have our chocolate and eat it too. Resistant starches, so that may be new to some of you guys, but actually the legumes and the beans that we consume, not all those starches do we actually break it down, but the bacteria in our gut break it down. And not only it changes the flora of our bacteria to more healthy flora, and these bacteria actually create neurotransmitters, which are the chemical messages in our brain that they thought only affected the gut. Well, it doesn't. It actually affects our brain as well. So those are very, very powerful. Digestive rest. Now, in other presentations, I don't like using the F word because it scares a lot of people, but I think you guys can handle the F word. Fasting. Because you say it in other circles, they'll think you have 3 heads. But right now, digestive rest, merely 12 hours. So if you go from 8 to 8, 9 to 9, 10 to 10, whatever, you'll actually improve. They show you have higher levels of this BDNF. And also, as Dr. Fuhrman points out, you need to give your body some time for some digestive rest so that it can detoxify, because we are exposed to a lot during our day-to-day experiences. And then finally, maintaining a healthy weight. So often you see very important people who are obese have lower levels of BDNF than those who are on a healthy weight. So one of the things I wanted to say, your brain, of all the micronutrients, I would have to say arguably one of the most important ones for our nervous system in our brain is fat, and the healthy fats. And it's very easy in Nutritarian. It's very easy. It's 3 categories: raw nuts, raw seeds, and avocados. And we limit the use of oils. So the ones that we want are the ones high in omega-3 fatty acids. So the 3 seeds in the 1 nut that really stands out in this category are flax, chia, and hemp. I love hemp seeds. I love to work out, and I think those of us who like to work out has high amounts of protein, has all kinds of other nutrients in there, but all of them are great. If you're a woman, flax seeds are remarkable in their breast cancer reduction, up to 40% relative risk, just by eating 15 grams, which I believe is like 1 to 2 tablespoons a day. They even had one, they had the flax muffins where even it cooks, where you even destroy some of it, actually showed positive benefits. So they have special compounds called lignans that act like estrogens in the body and balancing out the system. Really helpful, especially in women. When I have women who come in with the kind of like menopausal issues and all that stuff, there's many other steps, but that's one of the ones I generally bring them to utilize more frequently. And then vitamin E, often very powerful. I think it's lost favor because what happens is in studies, we actually study synthetic vitamin E, which is only one of 7 vitamin E's that you need in your full spectrum in your body. So you want to eat them from your foods, so your almonds, your avocados, and your sunflower seeds.